Let's go through a cash flow statement example. Let's assume that Oscar had cash income of $50,000 this year and cash expenses of $47,500. So in order to put together his cash flow statement, we're going to need to figure out what his surplus or deficit would be. So in order to figure that out, we'll just subtract his expenses from his income, and we find that he has a surplus of $2,500. So let's say then, what if his expenses had been $51,200 with that same income of $50,000? Now what happens? Well, in this case, we're going to see that he's got a deficit of $1,200. So in the first case, Oscar is living within his means with expenses less than his income, but in the second example, he's got a bit of a problem because he's spending $1,200 more than his income. So what the counselor might want to talk with Oscar about is that maybe he's not planning properly for inevitable expenses, and maybe this is a budgeting issue. In the case of the deficit also, maybe he needs to establish an emergency fund, that maybe some of those expenses weren't normal expenses and really just represented some emergencies he had during the period. And then finally, what we've mentioned a couple of times is that maybe in the case of the deficit, we're finding that Oscar is just living above his means.